Great. I have 5 o'clock. We could get started. Robert could join us if that works, if everybody's good, or we can wait around. Up to you as a board.
Start.
Yeah, he did let me know. He'll be here, so
Okay.
probably just running late. Okay, this is the Eagle Point Community Development District Board meeting. Today is Thursday, July the 2nd. It is 5 p.m. and we'll call the meeting to order, and we can start with a roll call of our board members. We can start to my right.
William Hathaway.
Ron Berkowitz.
Kevin Gagne.
And I'm Andy Mendenhall, District Manager. We also have
Michelle Reese, District Council.
All right, and as mentioned, I believe Robert should be joining us shortly, so we'll just note that for record when he does join. And so we'll move into item number 2, which is statement from the chair. So I'll go ahead and give the floor to you, Kevin.
Yep. Very briefly, I just want to, I assume the rest of the board saw the really nice letter we got from our landscaper. So my statement is just a letter acknowledging that appreciation for that letter and a few sentiments of my own that I'm sending to them. So I'm just going to read it for the record. Dear Stefan Bozic, and this is Stefan Bozic of US Lawns. Thankful for your thoughtful letter and for the kind words regarding Eagle Point, Rava, and me. I sincerely appreciate the recognition, but more importantly, I appreciate the quality of service, professionalism, and partnership that US Lawns brings to our community. Over the years, we have worked with multiple landscaping vendors, and one thing I have learned is that good landscaping is about far more than mowing grass and trimming plants. It requires expertise, attention to detail, honesty, and pride in the work. Your team has consistently demonstrated all of those qualities. There are several examples that stand out to me. One of the first involved the palm trees around our pool area. A prior landscaper had indicated those palms were diseased beyond recovery and provided pricing to remove and place them entirely. Your team assessed the situation differently. Rather than recommending expensive treatment, you identified that the palms were suffering from severe nutrient deficiency and were in urgent need of fertilizer treatment. Because of your honesty and expertise, those trees were saved. That alone demonstrates to me that your team prioritizes solving problems correctly rather than simply recommending the most expensive solution. I also appreciate the attention your crews give to small things that many people never notice, but that make a real difference in how a community looks and feels. Something as simple as stopping to pick up trash before mowing rather than running it over may seem minor, but it reflects professionalism and pride in the work. Those small details add up and residents notice them. Perhaps most importantly, your team helped identify one of the biggest root causes behind years of landscaping struggles in our community: significant irrigation deficiencies. For a long time, we were repeatedly replacing plants, trees, and other landscaping that failed to thrive without fully understanding why. Your team uncovered major issues within the irrigation infrastructure, including malfunctioning components and installation deficiencies that prevented large areas from receiving proper water coverage. Once those underlying issues were identified and corrected, your team helped lead the restoration and replacement efforts throughout our community. The results speak for themselves. In my opinion, the community has never looked better. As an engineer, I deeply value people who focus on root causes rather than symptoms. Your team has repeatedly demonstrated that mindset. Instead of applying temporary fixes, you help us understand and solve the underlying problems. Strong results come from clear communication, accountability, and mutual respect, and I believe our working relationship reflects exactly that. Thank you again for your partnership, professionalism, and commitment to Eagle Point. I truly value the relationship we have built and look forward to continuing that partnership as we keep improving this community. Sincerely, Kevin Geiger. Thank you, Andy.
Sure. All right, we'll move into item number 3, which is supervisor requests and audience comments on specific items on the agenda. So I see at least a couple new faces, so just kind of to go over how we do audience comments. We allow, obviously, anybody to address the board. We have 2 rounds of audience comments. We have one now, which is specifically for agenda items. And if you have any comments, so obviously the board can hear it prior to them making any decisions. And then or towards the end of the meeting, we have a second round of comments, which is more general comments, thoughts, free form, if you will. We do ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. I've got a timer, I'll be the bad guy. I will kind of raise my hand when you've got like 30 seconds left. And when it goes off, obviously that's the end of the comments. In order to be fair to everybody, so that everybody gets 3 minutes uninterrupted, we do ask that the board hold their comments until we've received everything from the residents. And then if there is any response, the board would then, have their time to respond, that sort of thing, if they choose. So, and typically I go front to back, so I'll just kind of scan the room, just kind of raise your hand if you have a question. And also, because these meetings are transcribed for meeting minutes, if you can just state your name for the record, that's super helpful, so we get that correct. And that's it. So again, I'll kind of go around the room. I'll start over there.
Start right here.
Yep.
Thank you. Jim Basement, just a couple observations. I don't think for live streaming this right now. I was just listening to it. It sounded like me, it was a little bit hard of hearing. I can hear it better on the live stream than I can sit that microphone is really picking up the job. The other thing I want to observe, my observation on the agenda today. This is the second meeting in a row that there has been no backup for vendor invoicing and payments. And I find that concerning as well. And it's the third time since Kai's taken over the management that hasn't been included in the package. So I think those items should be on a monthly basis in there. So residents can look at that stuff, and not look at it 3 months after that. And then looking at the agenda, there's a lot of items out there that there's a significant amount of money involved. And I just simply encourage this board to continue to be mindful of our current budget challenges as we discussed at the last meeting and the updated budget that was posted a few days ago on the website. So I would ask you to carefully evaluate special discretionary spending at this time in light of our budget.
Thanks, Jim. All right, I'll move along. Sir, go right ahead.
This is Siwei Ying at 11615 Armada. The only comment I really had was about the gazebos. I saw there was 2 quotes on the gazebo itself, one for $10,000 and the other one for around $1,700. The one that's $10,000 did not include the actual gazebos inside of the quote, but the other one did. So like I didn't see if there was a quote for the gazebos. If the board was to elect Weezy to actually perform the work. I'm curious if that's available. Is that going to be part of the decision today? If the board was for gazebos, because my understanding is that based on the last meeting minutes that the field manager said that the current gazebos are a liability use performing.
Thank you. Sir?
Good evening, Don Burgess, 8957 Mills Cove. Yesterday I transmitted a letter of concern to district council, district chair, and co-chair regarding several issues that I have noticed since this board has been in place. It highlights issues related to financial matters, budgeting, and a systematic or apparent systematic of just failure to program, plan, and budget execute. We're exceeding the planned budget, I believe, for the second time in a row. The other thing I addressed is the board's response to residents. I've been in several meetings. I have made suggestions. I've asked questions. And it seems like this board is intent to observe procedure, but never really engage or respond to the residents of the Isles of Baby. This is a significant problem. I would like to know personally, as we see the QRS code, what happens when a resident makes a comment to Con? Where does that go? Where do those inquiries go? Who polices them? I think that's significantly problematic. I raised in my letter that the co-chair stated, I think last meeting, that he does not work for the community, and I'm concerned that his oath of office really does say that he works for us. So I'd like to see something in writing addressing my concerns. The behavior of this board has resulted in allegations and numerous back and forth on social media. At what point is this board going to do that? And Kevin, I want to address one thing that you said here today. You were able to demonstrate through the letter from U.S. Lawns Landscape and your response to them a partnership. I believe that partnership exists today, but it did not exist when the other three vendors left. So I'm giving you credit where credit is due because I do see progress, but there are other issues in here that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thanks. Going to the next row, sir, anything? Sir?
Down Loki, Windless Cove, and without being too repetitive of things, very supportive of the work that Don Burgess here put into the letter yesterday, and a lot of things that changed. Folks in the front row have done. My first board meeting I've attended, I hear often that we don't have enough attendance here, and for the community being part of these things where I can.
Okay, thank you. On the couch, sir? Okay. Kind of loop around to the back, sir, in the chair, if you had anything, or? Anybody in the back? Yes, sir.
George Regas, 8960 Windless Cove. I just want to know from what we're hearing, lavish spending. Can we see the books? Is there a way that we can open the books to see what goes in, what goes out, and where it goes? I really don't want, none of us want to see the wages again. So we want to see what the money goes.
All right, did I miss anybody? Okay. So if it's okay with the board, I had a couple questions that I can probably address. Number one, Jamie brought up the financials. 100% correct, unacceptable, should be financials every month. I mentioned at the last meeting, this is not an excuse, I'm just repeating for anybody that might not have been here. We had switched our accounting systems at the beginning of April. The implementation honestly didn't go well. So loading in everything correctly first to make sure that the financials would come across accurately. Unfortunately, that had to be done, and also it did lead to the delays, which I apologize for and I take full responsibility for. The financials for the previous 2 months, which would be the last meeting and this meeting, they are complete now. They've been emailed out to the board members. I'm having it posted to the website. That way any residents can take a look at that. Sir, in the back, a related question as far as seeing the books, those sort of things. So everything the district does, including all of the financial aspects, they are all public records. And I've received requests, but anytime that anybody wants to make a request to see the ledger of any specific line items or the ledger of the entire operating budget, that's available. Of course, the financials that we should review every meeting, those are always available as the meetings come forth. They should be available, but also historically, if you said, hey, I want to see the financials, how we ended last year, any of that stuff's available. It's just a matter of reaching out to my office, and happy to provide it electronically. Also, generally speaking, happy to answer questions if there are specific questions. I'm not an accounting expert, but I've done the CDD thing for a little while, so I can usually answer most questions. And if we need to, I can go to our accounting folks for more of the technical stuff. But for sure, all of that is public record. And that's everything down to copies of invoices, to contracts, you know, anything you want to see. So, those were my big items, only because, again, I feel bad about the financials, and again, totally on me. And I apologize for that, and I apologize to the board as well. I don't know if the board had any responses to anything else, but I'll at least turn it back to you.
I just think you want to answer Mr. Burgess' question about the QR code, as well as, and this would, I guess, we start off with you, and if you need to ask Michelle, sure, go ahead. He's requested responses in writing to his document. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yep, well, let me do the QR code first, because that's the easy one, right? So the QR code, when somebody fills that out, that does come directly to me. I've gotten a fair amount of QR code requests. If you had a chance to use it, it lets you kind of choose the area of concern. And so that comes to me, and I respond back directly to, there's a field for people to leave their email address. As well, on the website, there's a contact us button, same sort of thing. So I have all of those things going to me. One thing that Kai had, they still have, but they had kind of previously how it was set up, was everything would route through a customer service center. So I've taken that away, because I don't, not just myself, but I manage a bunch of district managers. And I always think it's much more important that when residents or board members reach out, that it should go directly to the manager, because obviously we should know what's going on and kind of be in the loop on those concerns. And I never like making a 4-step process out of something that should really be a 2-step process. So they come to me. If for some reason you've submitted something, and we've had this happen with the website recently, if something you aren't getting a response, my cell phone number is on the website, my email address is on the website, please let me know, because that's something obviously I would want to fix internally if we do have that issue. It doesn't come up often, but it has. So, and I don't always know the reason why, but we can figure those things out. So,
quickly, remember when you interviewed, and we talked about one of our most important expectations of the management company we were going to hire was that you had a system for collecting input from residents, tracking the responses, and make sure things didn't fall through the cracks. So that's one thing that you promised, and I'm glad to see that it's up and running. And who knows, maybe we need more of them around, but I'm glad it's being used.
We, and we can always do that. We can always look for more of the QR codes or different methods and stuff like that. And as well, we can do kind of a temperature on it. Let's get 6 months away, and I can tell you, hey, with the QR codes, we've gotten in X amount of questions, just to give you an idea of how good or how, if it's not being used or any of that type of stuff.
Yep.
So, gentlemen, if I may, I just add one critical thing to what you're both talking about. Where does the resident get notice that you've read or engaged with the
So as mentioned, and we really need to keep this with the board right now, because we had the resident comments, but just for clarity, as mentioned, when anything comes in, I basically respond back directly. So if somebody sends something in via the QR code, I'm basically emailing them back. So,
and we did have discussions when we were determining whether there was going to be some sort of a list, a master list, a list shared with the board. One of the things was a list shared with the residents, but then people were concerned, why would every resident want every other resident to hear what their concerns or comments are? And so, there was a lot of discussion about that ultimately, and we arrived at this particular approach.
Yeah, and for clarification to that as well, and when we have these things set up, whether it be, a button on the website or even just, I don't know, like an email type option, that's typically how it is happened, because yes, there's a certain privacy, even though it's all public, there's a certain privacy aspect of putting that public information in the forefront in front of everybody. If Mrs. Smith writes a comment about, I don't even know, her dog at the dog park, she might not want everybody to see that on the next meeting agenda or something so overtly public, even though it is public information. So moving into the comment question related to the letter that was sent in, I'll defer to Michelle a little bit as far as, as far as responses, written responses, those sort of things. I can only speak from my own personal experience. I sit on the CDD board. My was a resident and have been a resident on the other side of the table, and manage a lot of CDDs. You know, generally speaking with stuff like this, it's really up to the board whether you want to respond. Obviously, always welcome to hear criticisms and feedback from residents, but, you know, much like any governmental board, you're not required to respond in writing or anything of that nature. But I will defer to the attorney because I don't want to be wrong on any of this.
No, you're correct. And I know sometimes it can be frustrating for people that have questions and they don't understand how things are operating. But your board are elected officials of the district. They've been elected to the board by the residents to carry out the responsibilities of the district. And just as any elected official in office in your city, county, state, and federal governments, a lot of times people don't understand what the decisions are and why they are, and maybe they want additional explanations. But there's no legal requirement for elected officials to provide written explanations for each and every decision that they make. And as you can understand, that could be very, very time consuming. If that was an obligation of the board, it could be very expensive because it would require very often more legal input. So it's simply not a statutory requirement. So, you know, they've been elected, they'll carry out their duties. They do have an obligation to hear from owners and residents, and that's why we have the audience comments. And to take those under advisement and consider those as they're making their decisions. And that's, you know, that is how politics and government works. And that's why we have the right to vote.
Any other comments?
Gazebos. So you said 1,700, 17,000,
No, 70,000.
not 1,700, yeah. So 17,000 for 4. The quote you saw from the other vendor for $10,000 to install 9 of them. Your question was, what are we going to get gazebos from? The plan is to purchase them ourselves, the district purchase them. Because if a vendor purchases, we're going to charge you upcharge for it too.
But what's the cost on it, because it's not listed?
Maximum $5,000 for 9 of them. So altogether, you're going to have 9 instead of 4. It's going to cost $15,000 to have 9 instead of having 4 instead of $3,000. Make sense? Good.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to item number 4, which is business items, and specifically A, which is discussion of status of audio/video equipment.
So this can go quickly if everyone on the board has read the material that I provided in Exhibit 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. William?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So where we are with this is we either have at an hourly rate our IT company take the equipment that we purchased and evaluate it in the way they recommend, which is in a controlled environment. I suppose I can read, I guess, the one email that puts this in context, because then the remaining emails are just about trying to get prices and scope for the other 2 options. So one option is, again, they evaluate the equipment that we have on hand at an hourly rate, and they don't guarantee that they will be able to sort of support that equipment. And I guess I'll just read their words in a second. But the other option is, if we want to have a meeting solution that what they would consider a standard product for this purpose and something that they will support technically, there's 2 approaches. One, since this is a dedicated meeting room, they could actually fit this room with appropriate equipment for audio, video, and microphones. And that would be sort of a fixed solution, an in-place solution, and anyone that meets here, whether it's HOA, CDD, or anyone else that has permission to do so, resident committees, whatever, they'd be able to use the equipment. and wouldn't have to deal with storage, charging, carrying equipment back and forth between, you know, HOA and CDD and all of the logistics associated with that. So those are the three options they presented, and I only have the hourly rate so far. So we see the last email in the chain, it does not end with a price for those other two options. But just for context, I guess, for anyone that didn't read the package, this is the email that's because it makes the most sense of where we stand. I asked him for a referral because he said that he couldn't support that particular equipment. I asked him if he could give me a referral to another IT company that we could talk to. He said, at this time, I don't have a referral for someone who could confidently support and configure the equipment you've purchased without working on an hourly basis. And then, like I said, he then gave me the hourly rate. Given the uncertainty around the current setup, it would be difficult for anyone to accurately estimate the time and effort required before evaluating the equipment firsthand. I would also caution against attempting to implement or troubleshoot this solution immediately before an important meeting. Based on our previous discussions, we have concerns that the equipment selected may not be the best for the intended use case, which could result in significant time spent on configuration and testing without guaranteeing the desired outcome. Our recommendation is to perform any evaluation, configuration, and testing well in advance of the meeting. We would be happy to work with the equipment at our office where we can test and troubleshoot it in a controlled environment. However, due to the uncertainty surrounding the current setup, we cannot accurately estimate the time required to guarantee a successful outcome. A dedicated laptop or workstation may also be needed for testing, and additional equipment or software could be required. While we can certainly make our best effort to get the solution working, we cannot guarantee that the final result will meet your expectations or fully satisfy the intended use case. Given the potential costs involved in both labor and additional equipment, it may be worth considering whether continuing with the current solution is the most practical path forward. If the equipment can be returned or resold, investing in a more standardized solution may ultimately provide a more reliable and cost-effective outcome. As noted in our previous correspondence, we have already provided recommendations for alternative solutions that are commonly deployed and supported in other districts, and that may also be better fit for your environment. While we're willing to evaluate the current equipment, we continue to believe that a more standardized solution would provide a more reliable, supportable, and predictable outcome. So the question I have just before the board with this update, before we can move on, is do we want to pursue utilizing their technical expertise at an hourly rate, or do we want to continue to get pricing for a fixed in-room solution and maybe a more standardized mobile solution?
If we're gonna do it, we have to do it right.
I agree. And you know, I never even thought sort of the idea of a fixed room solution. I was always thinking of something we can move around, but I mean, if it's Andy's equipment, it needs to move around. You're using your equipment in a million different places, but we could have a better setup in a dedicated meeting room, which this essentially is, a community room, meeting room. But who knows what that costs? I don't know, but again, I'm just looking for direction. Which direction do I pursue? And I will point out, I mean, I guess if you guys read the emails, you looked at the dates, this effort and this coordination goes back to March on my behalf. But since I haven't been, due to family obligations, at either of the last two meetings, I wasn't able to share this with you. So this is the first time we talked about it.
Usually when they say, it's not guaranteed, you go to work.
Well, yeah, well, that's, you know,
you're gonna waste money on that.
I just reached out to our IT professionals. I spent time in emails giving them the specs on our equipment and laptops. This was the response. So
just to add to that, especially the fixed room aspect. So I do have one district, and I think I mentioned it here in this meeting before. I have one district that does that. They have the room set up. They have a microphone that comes down from the ceiling, basically. As well, they have a display, kind of like where your TV is, that sort of thing, and a camera, obviously, that captures everything.
Right.
So, and I can get you probably a quote from them. Number one, I can tell you what they paid, and then if that sounds like it's worthwhile, we could reach out to that vendor.
Does it work?
So, yeah, it works well. In my opinion, what's that?
Technical issues.
So, no, I mean, at least in my experience, I think the first couple meetings they did before they figured out, exactly how to kind of configure it. But once they did that, I don't think there's anybody on the board that's super technically adept,
Right.
so.
If it's a
And I'm
fixed room
not.
solution, I imagine since they have all our IT, internet, and all of our door locks, or with complete IT, they would at least be able to
Troubleshoot anything.
troubleshoot it, whatever. But I think it goes without saying, and that once the step here is arrive at the direction, and then we need, you can dig out additional pricing. Complete IT recommends the cheapest way to go is we purchase the equipment and give you links, and they can do the install. But then we can also ask other companies that do it. But we don't want to waste everyone's time in three different, what's your hourly rate? What's your rate to do a fixed room solution? What's your rate to do, for that, right? I mean,
Sure.
And then the other thing I will note, Andy, just for the remainder of the discussion is that you saw that the last email was mine and he didn't respond. So I was hoping to have maybe some prices even or ballpark ranges for these two options. But the other thing I asked and where I'm pointing to you, Andy, was I said for a live streaming solution, we need hosting of the video afterwards for access. And we had talked about this many times in the past, and you had mentioned, actually it was your suggestion, possibly looking into YouTube or something like that, which is essentially free as opposed to paying our website provider for storage space. And then we could put the links directly on the website and store it on YouTube. But then you came back to a meeting sometime after that and said that you had learned potentially some issues with accessibility, meaning the legal ADA requirements we need to meet to, and whether or not the YouTube platform will give you what you need.
Whether it has
Anyway,
to be paired,
I never heard back from you on that specifically, but I did mention it in my recent email. Both to you and Complete IT, do a little research on that component as well, and don't be afraid of looking at free hosting solutions.
Yeah, we can find out. Yeah, we would just need to verify that they meet those ADA requirements. So,
Right.
rather than an add-on that helps them meet it.
Right. So nobody has any comments on the board so far. What I'm going to suggest is that I wait for Complete IT to provide me at least a cost range for the two options. I don't think, unless someone here speaks up, that you want to pursue the hourly rate option.
No, so just for clarity, are the two options the fixed, the hanging, and then the other one like the mobile AV cart, like the bar cart thing?
No. He sent me a link to some equipment. I think it was called speaker integrated 360 camera, optional additional microphone. It's apparently a meeting community industry sort of standard product.
But it's not a pre-set up.
Oh, it is. He says it's quite easy to set up.
Okay.
That's why he said it's something they will support. It's a standardized solution for this purpose, and he said they would basically be able to support that and recommend that we just start there. So yeah, and that's my thoughts. I just need your board direction.
I mean, I guess the simplest is if we can get price on either on both those, that's
Right.
what the options are, and then we can just look for there. I mean, personally, I would like to see it fixed. That way, anyone who
Right.
uses the room can use it as well. But
Right.
it might just not be economical.
Right.
Compared, so.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
Is the issue interfacing for you that we had before?
I don't know exactly what the issue was that one time when we tried it. What I understand was maybe it was the two computers being used that was causing an echo. So that fixing that might fix it. But technically, I don't think there's necessarily anything about my laptop that wouldn't work with.
Yeah, I mean, look, that night taught me something. Okay, we seriously and honestly, and I tremendously appreciate volunteer efforts, offers from the community to volunteer to do things for us. That's why we as a board added additional insurance with our carrier for volunteer work. That's why we instituted the waiver, the volunteer waiver. So it's awesome, that we have people willing to give technical expertise and offer that to the community for different things. But ultimately, what happened that night was a resident making his best effort to support the community and give technical support to a critical element of our running our meetings, was doing so and facing a personal commitment, work and schedule and meetings that come up at the last minute, and we can't, I think, rely or put the reliance of critical elements of our district into the, if we can't rely directly on volunteer work from members of the community, however well-intentioned it is. We need to be able to have our paid vendors available for technical support on critical components of our district. So that's why when the offer to offer that support was rescinded, I immediately reached out to Complete IT, our IT vendor, and that's where this process started. So yes, I appreciate volunteer efforts. Obviously, that's why we put in that procedure and policy and insurance in place. But I think there's just some things that it's not going to work out for here.
Okay. So we'll get some additional details, bring it back to the board, and you can always discuss it at a future meeting here.
All right, sounds good.
You
Yes, sir.
utilize Teams, right?
Yes.
So is there any issue of hooking a camera up to your Teams feed in the interim and using your team so that way it's one computer, one source? You have the ability to use the recording for transcribing, and then you would have the ability to turn the recording over for however we choose to make it accessible, whether it's a website,
Right.
whether we can get YouTube ADA compliant or whatever it may be,
So-
or to have it if somebody asks for it from a record request perspective.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes, I would assume so. I mean, when I use Teams, it has the onboard camera. I don't know the technical nature of hooking up, a camera that faces inward, outward. I'm sure you can do it though. I mean, obviously. So from that aspect, probably. Does it meet all of, what the district needs as far as capturing the audio? Well, that I don't know. But in the technical sense, yeah, I mean, Teams it's available, so to speak.
And Andy, let's point out, and William, let's point this out as well. The night that you attended remotely and couldn't hear for 20 minutes, that wasn't the new equipment. That was the stuff that Andy brought. Stuff happens. We need qualified technical support. We have it with our IT vendor. And I certainly would not support just let's try to patch together another solution on Andy's computer and see if it works, when we're also under constant heat for meetings that run too long. We spent 15, 20 minutes at the last two meetings I was at. There was a total of 35 minutes spent troubleshooting at the beginning of the meeting. And believe me, no one missed the opportunity to chastise the fact that those meetings ran late. So personally, once we get a technical solution supported by our IT vendors, let's get it running again. And I'm working on it.
Okay. I want to keep it with the board just trying to keep the procedures and keep the meeting moving along. So we'll get more information, and obviously we can have this discussion again as we get kind of those proposals, details, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So moving on to staff report. First, we have 5A, which is the engineer. So Robert your engineer, had emailed out a report to the board. He touched on 3 particular items. The first one, I don't know if it was first, but one of the items he touched on was the signage for your cul-de-sacs. And the question was whether you could add additional signage to it. And there was only one instance where you could. The other ones would need separate poles based on the required locations. So next step on that is obviously you can add the one, and we'll get a proposal for post signs basically. I think we have them, but we probably just need to get them updated because that was like about a year ago that we got them. So that's that. The erosion issue by the Hilger household. We are getting, so he came out, met with the resident, and as well met with staff. And basically he's getting 3 proposals that he expects for the August meeting. And that way you'll have some options towards repairing that erosion issue. I also emailed Ms. Hilger to give her that update. She had inquired about it, or inquired about the latest. And then the other one was the drainage concern / issue. So he reviewed that. His recommendation was to take down some of the vegetation that is obstructing some of the flow. And as well, similar, they're gathering some proposals so that you would have that at your August meeting to consider, basically.
We did that already.
I'd have to look locationally to see where he's talking about the clearing. I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, I just didn't know offhand if it's the same exact area. Is it the same area?
Yeah, it's clear. It's not vegetation.
Okay. So for that one, we might need to talk offline. I know he met with Lewis out there. So just for clarification, I know you're very familiar with the situation. I would just suggest to the board that we have a follow-up conversation with Robert to make sure, obviously, we're looking at the right area. And if it's not a vegetation removal issue, then certainly we need to.
As the landscapers did it last year, they are maintaining it so far now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Again, I'm certainly not an expert in it. So when I looked briefly, I didn't know offhand if this was a additional clearing or something like that, but.
Yeah, let's just make sure there's no overlap or maybe something new that they're mentioning. I mean, Rava knows the situation inside and out, so let's just get the 3 of them together if you can find time.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And I'll follow up with Lewis because I know he's familiar with the project, so we'll just kind of loop it all around and make sure we're doing the right thing here. So, okay. That was the engineer's report. Field manager report, item 5B1. Obviously, Lewis submitted his report. He's actually out of the office for the next couple of days, so I am here for any questions you might have regarding his report, or if I need to take anything back to Lewis as far as, I'm sure items might come up during the meeting, but I guess for now, anything you might see from his report that you want me to follow up on.
It's not in the report here, but was it 2 months ago? There was a, I don't want to say a die-off, but there was a lot of catfish that were dead in one pond.
Oh.
There was like 15 or 18 just up on the shore.
Okay.
And I actually was talking to one of the vendors that was looking at clearing out the pipes and the drainage issue we had, whatever. He said it was an invasive catfish, so it doesn't, his thing was it didn't really matter. But I know that it was Lewis, and I can't remember the gentleman that was before him in that role, Gary, were there, and they were supposed to, they said they'd follow up and take a look at why, if it was an oxygen thing, if there's not enough water flow, or what it was, but I'm just curious, if there was any follow-up or even thought on it.
I'll check. Yeah, typically it's an oxygen thing, usually when we see it, either that or a turnover of temperature, but I will follow up with Lewis and see if there's any feedback on that specifically.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else on the field report? Okay. So the next few items that we go through under the field manager report, these were items that were tabled from the previous meeting. I don't know that they were necessarily tabled to handle this evening, but obviously we carried them forward in case you do want to discuss. So I will go through those one by one. If it's something that you still want to wait, consider, table, just let me know. Otherwise, certainly it's available to speak about. So up first would be the consideration of sidewalk repair proposals. And you had the 2 proposals, the one from A1 Concrete Service and the one from Ground Up Leveling.
The first thing when I look at them is there's a huge difference in price. Where are they quoting the same exact square footage in And it would be nice if there was more of a layout from them in the picture and saying, this picture is gonna cost you, this picture is this is the square footage, this is what it's gonna cost. For, you know, one to be at like $5,000 and one to be at 20 grand, it's a huge difference in price. So I don't know, and I know they haven't broken down by square footage in each one. I think it needs, my personal opinion, I would think it needs a little bit more detail in why there's such a gap in pricing.
So as Louis explained it to me, the first vendor planning to take, let's say there was a crack section, planning to take the entire slab, big bit. But the other one, he said like, hey, if you have a crack.
Yeah, it's just remove the broken pieces.
Exactly, and move on.
So it's not really an apples to apples repair. One's like a replace, one's a repair.
Here's what I suggest. This is civil engineering. And we should have our engineer, because $20,000 done right isn't necessarily worse of an investment than $5,000 done wrong. And let's also note that last year after we prepared and after we commissioned and evaluated our reserve study, sidewalks are part of our reserve study. We contributed last fiscal year to funding the first year of the reserve. So our reestablished reserve specifically for failed items like this. No, do we expect the sidewalks to fail now and have to be repaired? I mean, it depends. The trucks went over it, whatever. We know that prior to being a fully resident-run board, turnover was accepted. So we don't, you know, from the developer. So that's behind us now. We don't know anything. We weren't privy to the construction installation or anything. So it is what it is. So we need to maintain our sidewalks, obviously. Cracks lead to slip and fall, and that's the Florida way. And so I would just suggest that we simply ask our engineer, because should they say, and should they answer the simple question is, yes, I mean, I am an engineer, a civil one, professional and licensed for 30 years. So my answer is, you know, you don't just patch sidewalks. I mean, you can for a while. If you want to put them off, you can band-aid them, but joint to, that's why they have joints. Joint to joint, you repair, you replace it. And so you get accurate apples to apples price comparisons when an engineer gives a civil specification, construction detail, and scope of work. So I would suggest that Andy ask our engineer to take the field report from Kai that gives the locations and the information, all the stuff, all the groundwork that's already been done. I'm sure he has pictures and everything. And give it to him and just ask his recommendation on what we should do. Should we, you know, scope, and bid? Because he'll give us, at the top of his fingertips, he'll have a square yard concrete sidewalk price per square yard from his recent estimates. So
I know for a fact that Robert specifically has worked on extensive sidewalk repairs at West Chase, where he's the engineer, and they have hundreds of thousands of dollars that he's done. So he's very in tune with, number one, contractors, and number two, making sure that it's done in the right way. So it's a good suggestion.
Okay.
And I'm happy to do that. I can reach out to him. So let's move on to the consideration of fountain proposals. So this is was not a table item. This is a new item, and if you had a chance to look at it, there is two items there. One is for the fountain water supply line repair for $900 from Oasis Pool and Aquatics, and the second one is from H2O Pool Services, who's your current vendor, and that is a fountain autofill installation for $2,600.
I would rather wait, get more. The first one is too expensive, and this one's for $900, but.
right,
See the note, when you see a note like that, you know.
right. I mean, what we have right now is what that we were provided by the developer, and a hose is used to fill the level. It's not an autofill situation. So, yeah, I mean, again, if we have to go out there and turn on the hose, that's fine. I would also just push this a little bit and evaluate that easy solution later, or other proposals.
Okay.
We had the repairs done after the possible lightning strike damage that brought the whole thing down some time ago. We had the repairs done.
The pump.
The pump, yeah.
But this is not the pump though.
No, this is for filling the water, put the water back in. Yeah, and we can do that manually,
Yeah,
the hose.
but see if you miss it, you can fight it. Pump. That's a problem.
Right.
So let's say the best way to do it is get more estimates, PLOs. You spend around $1,000 on the problem basically to get the work.
Right, no, that's true. I mean, but our current pool vendor H2, can you check what's their frequency of working on? They check that pond. It's
Yeah.
part of, but it's not as often as this pool. So just check and see if they think evaporation, loss is a concern between the duration of time that they come and go. And if not, just have them add water to it till we come up with a permanent solution.
Okay.
A better solution.
Yeah, we'll find out the frequency and make sure that that's not a risk and do exactly that, have them fill it when they come out. And obviously report back if there's some kind of concern they have on evaporation and infrequency. So, no problem. The next item is the consideration of pool deck gazebo installation proposals. So we discussed this at the last meeting, and you had and we talked about it slightly this evening, but you have the two proposals there, Exhibit 8 and 9 respectively. If you would have any interest in speaking about this, or?
My only question, because, I wasn't there for the previous discussions, was, earlier tonight, I mentioned to you, Andy, the last time you and I went outside and walked, and was looking at some of the pool stains and how they were being slowly but surely eradicated. A woman came over to us and told us she was concerned about that last gazebo because the pins were coming out of the ground. And she said, it's going to be really dangerous when that thing, blows over while some resident's in it. With that in mind and seeing this, I'm concerned, is there a safety concern? Okay, I know the gazebos are used. People have reached out to me specifically and said, that's the only reason I go there, because I want some shade, but I love the pool. So, I'm all for sort of pushing this off again, to see what happens. It would be great to have people be able to enjoy it for the summer, but if we push it off to just see how it's discretionary, sure, but the safety thing is not discretionary. So I would say, I would personally, if our field manager, if Lewis, okay, so Lewis if he recommends one or all, I'm not sure, I missed that part, be removed for safety reasons, then we should remove them. There's no question there.
You take as a report, you'll see it there.
All right, so how many did they say should be removed, or which ones?
All of the one of them, the two last ones, especially the last ones, like you really screw on, just his whole.
I could see it, yeah.
The other ones are coming, it's not.
Okay.
It's an anchoring situation. It's an anchoring situation.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So we're into hurricane season. We have our management company's field representatives saying that they're unsafe and should be removed. So I certainly will make a motion, but before I even do so, does anyone object to taking that recommendation to remove them?
Remove it completely.
Remove them for safety purposes and not install them until we see that, the budget allows us to, or we get into the next fiscal year where obviously we're proposing to still fund our reserves at recommended levels. We're financially healthy as a community. Maybe we can do it then,
So one thing, and we'll get back right to that point, is, as I believe Bill brought it up, we should probably include the purchase price of the gazebos that you have
The
in there.
district will do it.
Yeah,
By yourself. It's
Yeah.
literally a product you buy from Amazon. That's.
yeah, but we should at least see the pricing for it. But that doesn't mean.
It was included in the last meeting, Lewis included
okay.
the prices, yeah.
Okay. But that's secondary. The first thing is, regardless of replacing the option, we take down that stuff. And if it's really a safety
That's the
concern,
question.
we should take it down.
You know what, and I will mention, I'm sure the bidders to put the new ones in realize that we can't just put screws in a loose paper
No,
in the ground.
so
That's what's there right
The
now.
the four ones we have here.
Yeah.
We'll take them out, put concrete on it.
Yeah.
And then install the gazebos. But the rest of them, because what's causing this issue, and this four ones here, like the edging, there's a gap, and just a little wind, the paper starts shaking. and getting
Shaking, yeah,
loose.
right. You can see the
But
paper.
the other
come up
sections
and
are so tight,
Right.
we just like drill through it, we're gonna be secure.
So what's the thought of moving the gazebos to the other side? I mean, obviously the one's damaged and we should get rid of, but
Like a different
Smart.
layout? Like a different
well,
layout?
I mean, if we're going to potentially consider adding more, that means you're gonna go to the other side. They're saying that the other side, the ground is stable, they can anchor it to it. So why don't we just move them to the other side where the ground is stable?
They're actually broken. Like,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
our, one of them is broken.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the others, but even if you want to buy replacement ones, it's significantly less right now to buy 4 gazebos and install them on the other side where the ground's stable and you're just going to anchor them down anyway. I mean, it should
This
be,
is a patching of the
The
situation.
existing product is a wonky,
yeah, but then
Walmart
you just get rid of them.
gazebo anyway.
You just get rid of them. I mean, if you're talking about taking them down anyway,
That's what we're talking
Because
about.
the gazebo-
then, no, what I'm saying is then why don't we look at what would it cost to just install 4 on the other side to replace
For
them
new ones,
for new ones?
not move these to another place that anchors better.
Correct, unless,
Okay. I
unless some of
misunderstood what you
those
said.
are
I thought you said
salvageable, but
move
obviously the
those.
one is gone. I don't know why it's still there. It
So
should have
that-
never been put back up after the hurricane.
So in either case, that's kind of a step 2. What we really need to decide now is, do you want to take down the existing?
I think we have to. If
To
it's
me,
a
at least
known
that
safety
one
concern
has to come down. at a
from the
minimum.
management company.
All of them
The one on the far right has to.
All of them are loose.
But
Just a little wind is gonna be the job.
so clearly we have a difference of opinion on what should come down. And I think if it's a safety issue and Lewis from Kai is the representative of it, and if he comes back and says, all of them should come down, then we should take them all down. If he says one should come down, the other ones are okay for now, then we'll just follow the recommendation. But maybe he can come out one more time, make a final recommendation, let him know that we, based on his feedback, we have a concern.
He's definitely looked at it numerous times, so
Yeah.
I can tell you he knows
Yeah,
if it's
he
all,
said-
I don't know
Yeah.
offhand, but he'll know all
Just a
or,
little,
yeah.
the one that looks sturdy, they look sturdy, just from the wind side here, you see like really.
Yeah,
So
so if they will have to come down, they will have to come down, but we should have a final decision.
But the thing, the problem is, I don't think it's right to do that to the community, keep them like, until like that. I do that, yeah, something.
No, I mean, of course, I understand.
I mean-
That stuff, but no, 100%, like, this is the only thing we have as a community. And people, now that the amenity center, I mean, the pool is clean, it's a safe place to be, the landscaping looks nice, people are coming, they're using it, and they're enjoying it. And to, take that out, so I don't think there's any question,
Well, I
it's a
think
safety
that-
issue, but
you
do
know,
not
talking-
replace it.
Talking about price ways, if you divide $15,000 and 396 homes, it comes to $37 for each homeowner to have 9 nights a week. And who brought up this issue to begin with? It wasn't the board, it was a homeowner, right?
there were 3 people. There were 2 people via email and 1 person asked Kevin reference. We were out there just looking at the pool and the lady came over and mentioned the concern with the safety.
That is correct. And just like Kevin, I heard it numerous times, it'd be nice if we had more. Just like the mulch. And then when we did it, you should see the number of family kids are playing over there every single day. So, that's how I say, this is the only asset we have here. Either we're gonna do something right or don't do it at all. The patching thing won't work.
So just to keep things moving along, just because we have a lot of items, if you're interested, the motion sounds like it would be to remove the gazebos that are deemed unsafe.
Yes,
And
and
Lewis would,
reconfirm with Lewis.
yeah, so,
We're not ready, I don't think, I mean, like, for example, I think it's a legit question to say, let's also see on paper the cost, even if the current Amazon, of the replacing gazebo, so that the price, is documented. And I'm not saying put it off till next year either. I'm just saying, let's kind of take this step by step. Let's deal with the safety issue first. So my motion is that we confirm with field representative which ones in his recommendation need to be removed for safety reasons. And they go ahead then and remove those identified items.
Look, you said that.
Oh, yeah, and so that may very well be all of them for the community.
No, okay.
And that's the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing.
Time frame. How quickly
Yeah,
does he
that's
have to, if it's
Can you
a,
tell me the motion again?
The motion was to remove the unsafe gazebos based on the recommendation of the field staff, confirming with field staff which ones are unsafe.
Meaning, if he says 4 of them, all of them are gonna come down.
Yeah, correct.
can we put a time on it? I mean, if it's supposed to be a safety issue or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, I mean, so again, Lewis knows which ones are bad. He's been out here a zillion times, so it would just
Okay.
be a matter of scheduling, probably figure out the next time it comes out.
As soon as possible.
Yeah,
Obviously.
yeah, as soon as reasonable and possible, sure.
And then, that's the other question is, so let's say he's gonna say all of them.
Yeah.
Take them down, then, yeah, again, me personally, I don't think it's fair to keep it like that, just for, even for a short period, I'm just saying.
I know, but I think we have to wait a month at least to take it up at the next meeting. Because you know what? Maybe even more members of the community who have weighed in on this issue will say, when we get the gazebos back, we love the gazebos, it's summer, our kids are out there, I really miss the gazebos. There may be a demand, a bigger demand than people that have publicly expressed interest in it. And so we can listen to that and we can rediscuss it. It is what it is. Safety first, so.
Okay.
Now, where will Kai, are we salvaging any of it? Are these removed and disposed?
I mean, I would suggest if you have something unsafe, you should dispose of it. Well, yeah, that's.
Oh, I agree, I'm just saying that these are the details. So the motion is to remove and dispose. Because again, it could be a cost associated with that, or we don't wake up and find them, I'm not saying Kai would do that, but we wake up and find them on the side of the fence.
Understand completely. We can work out those
I was
details.
gonna say in the board.
No, I was thinking pond at least outside of.
Let me just take the vote on that one. We
Yes.
had a motion, a second, and a lot of discussion. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. So let's move into item number 5, which is consideration of flagpole proposals. Again, this came up at the last meeting. You had a couple of different proposals there. Looks like 4 of them from exhibit 10 through.
Let me speak up for that one, because I've seen it a lot of, like, $21,000, somebody added the entire quotes, anyway. So we took down a palm tree in the front of the clubhouse here, and this palm tree, we have actually a proposal for it too. It is not a cheap palm tree. It's cost the same price as having a flagpole. The difference is we can go with the palm tree. Palm tree can die, a flagpole will never die. I'm just saying. So it's up to you guys. But the thing is, see those trees here we have in the amenity center, it's not like we have them in the back of the community where you can just cut it and see it, nobody's gonna see it.
Right.
So if we're gonna cut all of them, if all of them are gonna get sick though, we want to replace them?
Right. I personally will say I love this, first time I get to speak of this, I love the flagpole idea. We have a very patriotic community, it's also the 250th anniversary of the country. We saw how passionate some residents were when one volunteer replaced the torn flag out front. And, just how much wonderful things there was to say about that resident taking that act upon themselves to do. And because that's it, that's the face of the amenity center. That's the other thing, that's the front, that's what you see. A beautiful flagpole with lights, 250th anniversary, we could even have a dedication ceremony. I love it, I really do.
And it will never die.
And it will never die. 5,000 per tree, 5,000 for, flagpole. I personally like the flagpole, but again, also, the hole in the ground is patched. It's not a dangerous spot so far as I could tell when I saw the tree removed. Like, it's not a giant hole. So, I don't see the rush either, but I 100% support that idea. I would love to see it instead of a tree. And we do know the landscapers in the past have said they can place a retreat year round. Remember that we had that discussion? Maybe it was landscaping, maybe the tree itself, that big, that large, can't be put in year round. I'm not sure, but either way, I love the flagpole idea.
It's not about it, it's just the cost.
Yeah.
And for me personally, like,
Right.
why would I spend that much money on something that,
Right.
who knows?
I love it. I'm all for it. I want it. I would also think we should just push it for the short term. That's just my opinion.
What do you think, Rob?
I would like to see a flagpole as well. I feel, as we said before, the only asset we really have besides landscaping is the amenity center. We can't just not address things. There's a tree that died. We have to either replace it, or we can come up with a solution on the flagpole. I would want to see a little bit between more details on these two quotes that are in the 5,000 range. Yeah, but I know there's 4 or 3, whatever, but those that would probably come down to, and see what's the offering in there. I know there's also considerations for the lighting itself. I'm pretty sure we have electrical.
So one of them actually, if you see it.
Yeah, I saw the big, yeah. And, if that's something we want, if we can have someone that we're gonna pick, like, let's just say we like Liberty, we have them come out, maybe talk to someone as well. And then we could just, if we want to put it to vote.
Right.
I think we should definitely go ahead with a flagpole.
So, you know what, I mean, I understand what, but again, if we own something, we have to make it.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
doesn't happen.
Right.
To be honest with you, I would put a motion to go with a flagpole today. This one with the lights. Because it's a
What's that?
I mean, it's a palm tree, so we're not required to replace it, correct?
No? Yeah.
So we're forecasted to be over budget at this point, so it's an idea to pursue, but I don't think we have the funds right now to look at moving forward.
And we already spent a lot of money on unnecessary things too. It's our responsibility to maintain our assets as well. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. So, like any situation that we have differing opinions, just look if there's a motion and we can take it from there. If there's no motion, we can always talk about it later, entirely up to you as a board.
So another question just about flagpoles, right? I mean, some people think that putting a flagpole in a public facility such as this means you go to Home Depot and grab the pole and your postal digger and you go dig, drop, and put it in the ground. It's $250. And that's not the case. I mean, I know enough to know that hurricanes and wind loads, professional flag installation is far different than doing it in your front yard with a postal digger. So, and it costs thousands of dollars. Although I've heard, again, a neighbor in our community who has a beautiful flagpole, his residential install was, I think, over $10,000. Phrase. So I'm assuming these companies, these are companies engaged in this kind of installation, right? This is professionally done, and so.
Well, the first one was definitely overpriced,
Yeah.
but the other two ones.
So the,
So do we want to make a motion to put it as a motion for a flagpole? Or if there's not enough consent for it to be now, do we just say we punt it and revisit it down the road?
Yeah, it would be somewhere.
I mean, I know this is a different motion than yours, Rava. And you have, it hasn't been seconded yet, so we're
I was
still
gonna say,
talking about a
procedurally,
motion.
we should have a motion in a second. I know we've already
Oh,
discussed
yeah.
for a while, but let's do that, because otherwise we might just talk endlessly.
All right, motion to go with the flagpole.
Okay, I'm sorry, Robert, was there a particular one you were selecting there?
This one here with
Liberty, it's this one, Liberty flagpoles?
So is that item number, proposal number 4?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it,
Seconded, and
so we
now
could discuss.
we'll go discuss.
Okay, thank you for that procedural thing. I would slightly alter the motion. Okay, my motion would be, I motion to go with Liberty flagpoles, sorry, Liberty flagpoles, right, 52 or 3.41, of course. What I'm about to say, the price may not be valid, but I motion to select Liberty flagpoles at the current price, pending availability when we install it, and I would say we would basically I want to say yes. My motion is we go with a flagpole instead of a tree. That we go with this particular option and company based on the pricing and what they're presenting, but that we do not enter the contract and do the installation until.
Proposals have a time limit.
Exactly, so I just said, so it would be, it would be for this 520341 to be revisited if at the time the budget, allows us to do this, that the price is confirmed. And if it's more, then we have to just come back and revisit it.
So do we just make a motion to include a flagpole in the budget, in the upcoming budget, and then put it in, and then just,
So let's do this.
Sure.
yeah, it's just,
Let me make a suggestion. We have the original motion on the floor, which is different than the intent of the secondary motion and possibly the third motion. So I would suggest we vote on the first motion first.
The
And
first
then-
one is to do it now. It's
The
a
first,
time-
correct. The first one would be to engage with Liberty flagpoles for $5,203.41 to install the flagpole. If that motion fails, certainly other motions can be brought up, that sort of thing. So
Okay.
is there any additional discussion on that
No.
particular motion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Okay, any opposed?
Nay.
nay.
Yay. Okay, so, and Robin, that was a yay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that particular motion fails, 3-1. And now, of course, if there's any follow-up motions, you guys can certainly do
A
that.
motion to basically the board to decide to install a flagpole instead of a tree. And, again, we'll revisit this at the next meeting to determine exactly the schedule of that and confirm the pricing.
Okay, so basically the intent of the motion is a commitment to a flagpole to be determined, time and
Yes.
everything. Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded, and now any discussion on that motion? Okay, all right, so if there's no further discussion, all in favor of that particular motion?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so that motion carries 3-1. And so we'll bring this up at a later date and we can discuss it at that point. Point of clarification, do you want us to reach out to Liberty flagpoles and see if they can hold their pricing, let them know there's an intent that,
Absolutely, yeah, I mean, we that was what I didn't really disagree with Rob on any aspect of this except timing.
Okay.
And I appreciate the effort of looking into it and I love the idea.
Perfect. Okay, we'll do that then. Next one is item 6, consideration of U.S. lawns, palm tree installation proposal 5360, exhibit 14.
Moot point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is related to that, right? Okay, so we'll let that one die then. And now I would go ahead and turn to item 5C, Attorney Michelle, you have the floor.
I just have a couple. We had some discussions over the past couple of meetings about pursuing some of the builders for damages in the community. And so we've been trying to determine the builders, the damage, the cost. At this point, we have one invoice and the cost is about $2,125. So I'm not sure if anybody has more information about the damages because sending a demand for $2,000 to builders is not going to get a lot of attention. I could do it for you if you would like, but I don't know. And I've kind of identified who I think the two builders are based on the location of where this was. Miranda and IH something. So I can send them letters, but I feel like we're missing something, because it sounded like from the prior discussions that you all felt there were a fair amount of damages and costs. And so I'd like to have a full picture before we send it to
Yeah, the
me.
second entrance.
Second entrance, yeah. There was damage to landscaping and irrigation.
She's saying she only has a quote that's
What,
about
so
$2,100.
what was that one for?
Yeah, so from a process perspective, just to give some background, and yeah, this is the quote. Basically, we went to US Lawns and we identified the area where the damage was. They had, the work that they did was commingled. There was some non-damage work and some damage work. When we identified this is the area where the damage was done, that they basically told us, oh, okay, for that area of this invoice, it was 2125. So that's where the number came from. So the real question is, is there anything beyond that, right? I mean, it doesn't sound like it, but then to Michelle's point, it's a good money chasing battle, for lack of better words.
Quick question, has there been any discussion whatsoever, you're just we just at the point of discussing how you approach them, or if you approach them at all, has there been any phone call? Hey, there's a couple $1,000s of damage, the board's identified because of your trucks going in and out, or whatever. Sometimes the answer might be, like it was in some other circumstances, acknowledgement and,
No, there have not been any phone calls,
Okay.
but I've only recently received
Yeah,
information as to what the issues are. And at this point, I'm not sure I understand it correctly, because the invoice is for installation of pine bark mulch for $9,435, but the landscaper attributed $2,125 of that to.
So the
building
9,000
damage.
was a bit bigger project.
But we're talking about.
The portion over there, the 2,100, that's the specific damage area.
Right, but what we're talking about is pine bark mulch replacement and a cost of $2,000. That's all the information that I have. And I feel like, that's why I'm coming to you guys, is that Andy's gathered information, he spoke to your landscaper, and this is all we got. And I feel like there was a discussion about maybe curbs being damaged or something like that.
Yeah,
And I don't
it's an
have any of
irrigation
that
as well.
information. So is there somebody that has some background?
We can contact the
It's all this
landscapers and get to
predated
give us
Andy.
how much.
yeah, I mean, I remember discussions vaguely, I don't know if it was, yes, we've talked about damage at that area, we postponed replacing all the landscaping there until the construction was done. So there wouldn't be more damage, but the damage, whether or not there's any, did the resident ever send in a video and say, look, here's this truck just over the curb? Not to my knowledge. I don't know if former management, see what had happened before, Andy, was GMS would just say, I'll make a few calls to the builders and tell them what happened and see where it goes. And I mean, that was the initial, that was the way the phone call started that led to us getting $60,000 to replace the entire flooring of the entire place, including here, and have money left over.
I mean, I can definitely call.
It was because of a free 2-minute phone call. Hey, this is the issue. Is there someone I can talk to? And they talked. So we don't need Michelle to do that, but, and I completely understand where she's coming from. She's got nothing.
Yes.
So why spend her time, billable time, going with nothing, but you could make a phone call, and maybe we could try to get you more, but it may be a lost cause, but that's just my suggestion.
I mean, I don't mind calling.
There was
That's fine.
irrigation damage too, wasn't there? And didn't that kill off some of the vegetation?
That's what I meant.
Yeah, so I mean, it should be, what?
Was it, you said there was damage, was it repaired?
Yeah, it was repaired, yeah.
By who?
Oh, landscapers.
By you?
So I'm gonna talk to them to give us a detailed breakdown for the whatever they spent over there, I mean, for the lab.
Yeah, I mean, if there,
Irrigation was fixed when we fixed the entire irrigation. at the
yeah,
same time.
if there's more, I was basically working off the one invoice that I was given and the detail from US Lawns, but if there's more, or even if there was work done by the previous landscaper that we're aware of, I'm happy to make the phone call. I mean, sounds good.
Is there displaced curb, tip down sidewalk that obviously a residential car wouldn't do, that a construction truck would do? I thought there was, but maybe the field guy, or maybe it's in one of his reports, maybe it's one of the ones that's already there. I really wasn't involved with it, and the discussions were vague. We just, as a board, made a commitment that we were not going to allow the residents to cover the cost of damages caused by other parties. And we would do what we could to pursue that, whether it was caused by parties who live here, or caused by parties who work here, or caused by construction people. That's where it starts.
We definitely want to do that.
We do what we
need to
can.
know what the damage is. And
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna get in touch with the
Okay,
landscapers to get us more details about this request, you know, that they're gonna forward it to you.
perfect. Yeah, if I get that, I'll go with that in hand and reach out to them.
Sounds good.
that would be great. Just, we are continuing to have a fair number of records requests. And each of the records requests on their own are not, some of them are larger than others. And Andy probably has a better sense of how much time each one takes. But I think the concern that's coming is that the individual requests aren't that substantial, but we're getting multiple requests from the same individuals in short periods of time, or the requests are morphing into additional requests. And so we're going to look at possibly putting together a policy, because there's a balance here, and the intent is not to discourage people from requesting records that they have the right to request. But over time, this leads to a substantial cost to the district that's borne by the residents. It needs to be allocated to requesters when the requesters are piling on requests. So we're looking at the legality of a policy where, over a period of time, let's say 30 days, you're getting multiple requests, or, like I said, morphation, I don't know if that's a word, but of the same request that ends up taking a lot of staff time and leads to a cost, and then those costs would then be assessed to the requester.
What are the new requests?
What?
What are the new requests for?
Are they standard requests, or are they something that's just?
The one that I'm aware of was there was a request for emails related to the response to a prior request. So that was a variation of.
Not to get into details, but yeah, so I saw that request, and I was very confused by it, because I thought that back in January, we provided the entire roughly year's worth of emails that were requested of me. And then I saw that new request. There's confusion. I figured I'm just going to ask you here today. Is that just morphism is what you're basically?
I don't know what that, I know there's a better word.
But so it's a request to see any documents, videos, recordings of us talking about the request that was made before.
Yes.
Or using the individual's name.
I'm sorry?
Or using the individual's name. That's what the request was, essentially?
It was, yes, for all information
That's the
related
new
to the
request.
response to the first request.
Okay, and you guys are working on that? And if there's a price associated with it, you'll present
Yeah,
that price?
I'm working on it. I think I don't want to speak for Michelle, but I think what she's trying to emphasize, which is something that my staff has been dealing with as well, is the challenge is we get a request. Obviously, a lot of them can be very quick hits. We go get the electronic records, we send it onward. But the challenge that we're getting is that we send it, and this is multiple requesters. I'm not speaking about any specific request, to be honest with you. But we send the information off, and then very shortly afterwards, we get a follow-up request for additional information, slightly different, whatever the case might be. But what's happening is, if all of the original request said, we want these 5 things, then I would say, with those 5 things, it's going to take a certain amount of time to gather. I've got to have somebody literally working for a number of hours a day. There's a real cost associated to that. But when they come in individually, by individual, each of those individual requests, it might be an hour as an example. So it's hard to really gauge, like, I can't say, well, this we can do real quick, easily, there's no real severe cost, if I don't know that something else is coming right behind it for more iterations. So that's kind of been the challenge with.
So let me ask you this, how much did it cost us so far for this request?
Well, it hasn't,
Approximately.
yeah, from my staff, it hasn't cost you anything. Now, obviously,
Right,
we
for
have.
you, it's putting a burden on your company because you're doing this for free under a fixed cost you have to the district.
Correct.
But you don't anticipate this level of activity.
Yeah, so in the very real sense, as your management company, at some point, right? Like, it might be next year, I might have to say, well, geez, I've got a records guy that's spending whatever, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week doing this, or even slightly less. And I might potentially at least come back to the board and say, guys,
Right.
just like our field services person that spends 10 hours a week, there's a very real cost to this. There's obviously a certain amount that we do under contract, but at the same time, we love the business, but we can't pay you for the
Absolutely.
business.
So how much is the cost so far?
That I don't know from our staff because we haven't charged. From legal, we'd have to.
Yeah.
We'd have to.
So is it reflected in your proposed fee for the fiscal year budget that we're working on right now?
It is not.
Okay, so you're basically on the hook for another year of dealing with this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not.
I don't think that's fair personally, but I understand and appreciate the extensive efforts that you're going in because yes, I'm aware of what they all are. I see all these follow-ups that you're talking about. At least from Michelle's standpoint, the board, based on the documents herein, has allotted a tremendously, significantly higher legal budget than we had before. To deal with, well, in my mind, it's great because it allows us to have Michelle involved with residents' attorneys as much as is necessary to meet the request. We have the money to pay her for it. It doesn't have to come from somewhere else. And also, if one of these lawsuit, quote unquote, threats comes through, and we have to go to court on something, that could be $15,000, $20,000, and we never had any money for actually going to court on something. So I think we're covered there. And Andy, I'm sorry that you're bearing the.
No, I just, and that's part of the reason why just having the general discussion that from potentially, obviously, so Michelle would work out the legal details, but we probably need to figure out some sort of policy so that.
No, wait a second, Andy, because I have an email here with one of the budget you sent a couple years. It said legal services $13,234, and
The detail of the
legal services of numerous public records.
Right,
So
so
$13,000.
the projected over $13,000 on just the legal line item is essentially associated with these kinds of things.
Wait a second, $13,000 for request, right? That's what the email said.
You're talking about from the beginning. I don't have.
Yeah, from the beginning, that's fine.
The commencement of it.
It is completely fine. It's
Recently, it's dropped.
and I'm talking about it altogether. That's what the email said.
Yeah, I just didn't remember the number offhand.
Yeah. So $13,000. It's fine to spend $13,000 on a handful of people, but it's a problem to spend $15,000 to have 9 gazebos for the entire.
To have gazebos or to have a flagpole. I understand, it's frustrating, absolutely.
I just wanted the board, we don't need to, there's no vote or anything required here. I just want the board to be aware that we're aware of the issue and, like I said, I'm gonna look into potentially putting together a policy.
I appreciate that very much. I think that's a great direction
So that we
to go in.
try to balance this out in terms of providing the request and the records that everybody wants,
Okay,
but not overburdening staff and the district financially.
And what's your estimating price is going to be, Andy, for the management company to handle this request moving forward?
So, the way, and again, I don't know legal aspects of doing anything like this. That's one of the reasons why I talked to Michelle in general and thinking about policies and stuff. But generally speaking, you know, like if somebody has an extensive legal request, we just charge an hourly rate for the person doing the actual work. So does that mean if, you know, they're doing 5 requests a month, we kind of, you know, say, well, once you're past 2 requests, there's an hourly charge for the time, or, you know, me personally, again, if I was the legal decision maker, I would just simply say, well, every request at least takes an hour's worth of time, probably. In our contract, you could account for saying, well, you know, a half hour that you should definitely do under contract, a half hour probably should be a cost.
Right.
You know, but that's just me, you know, throwing out.
I want to go on record saying this though, Andy. I appreciate that all you're doing, and I don't think it's fair that you go into this current budget. You basically, you're eating it going forward, all that's happening, because you didn't come to us and ask for more money specifically for this issue, but it's a very real issue. We had something very similar happen when we had GMS. Once action was actually finally being taken with regard to the amenity center violations and security issues, they, their efforts stepped up considerably. And they came to us, and it was just it was mid-contract. It wasn't at the budget season. They came to us and said, we're spending a lot of time dealing with all of these complaints and issues, very serious stuff that we had going on here. We didn't anticipate that when we came in, and that's going to, they proposed that we consider a $6,000 increase for them. I just want to tell you that because we value the relationship we have, I don't think you should be eating this. I don't think you should be getting screwed for this at all. Feel free to come to the board if this doesn't change and tell us what that adjustment is. Again, we've established reserves, and those reserves are intended for the roof and the pool and the sidewalk. But again, there's always always opportunities. And if you're working for free, that's not a good vendor-client relationship.
No, I understand, and I appreciate that, and I'll definitely let you know. Again, we'll just look at one example. One of my shortcomings, you haven't had financials for 2 months. So in the big picture of things, I just want things to work well for your community, harmony-wise, as well as, we're going to get records requests, but I think it's important that the board is aware of things. I also want the community to know that it's not, we're never not going to turn over records, but at the same time, as much as we can, let's try to work together so that we don't have onerous expenses. That's all. But I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
No. We'll close that for tonight. Do you want me to talk about the vacancy?
Well, you can. I was going to announce it under my report.
I wasn't sure, so I was.
Yeah. It's all good.
As you all know, Supervisor Fudali resigned today, so you now have a vacancy. The board is in the position of filling that vacancy for the remainder of the term, and I believe that seat has another 2 years after this November, so that puts us at 2028. So you would be appointing somebody for that remaining term. So if you have people in mind, you can talk about it. You can wait and see if people volunteer, and you can consider the names of volunteers. There's no requirement to appoint any specific person, volunteer or non-volunteer. You can pick a name out of a hat, however you all want to do it.
Is there a time frame that you have to pick, or do you not have to pick a seat?
There's a time frame. If there's a vacancy from an election and the seat's not filled, you have 90 days. But I don't think there's a specific time frame for a vacancy that occurs during the term. But I would try to endeavor to, within 60 to 90 days, because the only problem of having 4 is that you could have a split. And I have seen, and I'm sure Andy's seen districts that they have problems. If they have 2 and 2, I had a board for many months, could not fill a vacancy because they were split 2 to 2 as to who should fill the seat.
Sure.
And then on other issues as well. So it's always good to have a tiebreaker. But, you know, you certainly have time. Obviously, we're not expecting you to do that tonight, but I would certainly consider people and, you know, maybe look at proposing somebody at the next meeting.
Okay.
If you can.
I'll just go on the record and say I want to thank Martin Fudali for the time he offered serving the community. I really enjoy him. I like him very much. He's an honorable guy. He's putting family first, and I completely understand his decision and just want to thank him for all his efforts on the community's behalf. It's a thankless job. Thank you.
That's all for me.
All right, so manager's report, I just have a bullet point list here of a couple items. So the first thing is we should have a motion to accept Martin's resignation, if anybody's inclined to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
Seconded.
Seconded. Any additional
I
discussion?
didn't hear the motion. Sorry.
To accept Martin's resignation.
Of course.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item I had was, we had, there's the gentleman that was here at the last meeting regarding the grass behind his home. I don't know if he's here right now. Hi, how are you? Yeah, you're behind his shoulder. I didn't see you, I'm sorry. So, he had, brought up, obviously we discussed at the last meeting, coming back to this meeting, kind of, where we're at, that sort of thing. I forwarded on to the board. I don't know if you all had a chance to look at it. It was recent. But basically pictures of the area. So we still have some dead grass there. I know initially we talked about, of course, hopefully the rainy season helps it out.
Sure.
And if it didn't, maybe potentially considering seeding the area. I don't know how much rain you guys have had down here. It's still been pretty dry where I'm at. So just wanted to give it back to the board for any additional thoughts, discussion, anything like that.
So I was with Lewis and the landscaper consultant. It's behaviorless. There's no way. Dry spots. If you spend money to have an irrigation, it costs $2,000 for a zone. And we're talking about maybe 15 to 20 zones, the entire thing. That's not the problem. The problem is even if you put irrigation, that type of grass is going to go to dormant during winter time.
Right.
So
So I know that was discussed before because there had been some feedback from members of the community. During, again, another pre-summer season, the entire slope across the pond there is yellow. And assuming that it was some deficiency or failure on the landscaper or the CDD's part. And so obviously we discussed this at length in meetings, that entire area is Bahia, as you said, is dormant regardless in the winter. And if we have droughts, it's brown. Now, every time we get significant regular rains, it goes back to green. And we did talk about, as a board, do we irrigate that entire area? And there was a discussion where we said, we fixed the drip lines all along there. And hopefully, and even I think put some sprayers, and maybe some of that would trickle down and improve, but ultimately it's a big ticket item to change from Bahia to St. Augustine and to fully irrigate that. And so again, without having regular rain, we can't even tell if the area in question is going to be green or whatever. It does look like there's just patches of dirt, honestly, in some spots. So maybe some Bahia seed needs to be put there, but
it's going to grow back when it rains.
it'll grow back when it rains. I mean, I'm told, that's what I've heard about Bahia since I've been here in Florida, that you just gotta wait for the rain. I mean, that's what we've had to do before.
Because it's low maintenance. That's what the developers put the hay in those areas. It's no maintenance grass. They throw it there because it's cheap. They don't want to spend money on it. Like you see the outside of the wall, it's sun existing grass, and that's why they have irrigation on it. If that makes sense.
I mean, there's nothing we can do right now anyway, where we can't, I mean, we're talking about, you know, well, let's put off this $2,000 or $5,000 expense here that we can't wholesale, how many zones?
One zone costs
And how many zones are
$2,000,
there?
maybe 15 to 20.
So say $40,000 for the irrigation and then plus repair, and then, I mean, not repair, but how much for sod of St. Augustine for that whole area?
Oh, man, that's ugly.
Right, so I don't know what action is being looked for here, but I
So,
don't think we can do anything right now.
yeah, I mean, it's board decision, but, obviously you can continue to observe. Hopefully the rain comes. If you were to put seed down right now and it doesn't rain, it doesn't make much of a difference, but, again, entirely.
I certainly wouldn't have any problem, should we start getting rain, and then you see that there's a mud spot or a spot just for some reason doesn't come back like the hair does. Get some seed and
And that's
put it in there for
that's
them.
the other thing is you cannot even recycle it this time.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about sod, I'm just talking about the hair seed, and seeding, and have our landscaper seed it. If we find that we're getting, everything else is green and that spot's still blank, I mean, that's fair. But we can't tell yet, I don't think.
So no action at this time, then? I'm not here.
Can I speak to this now, or should I wait to the slot and the?
Yeah, we're gonna get to audience comments in just a second. Appreciate it. Okay, so, other items. So I had a email that I forwarded on to the board members, from Mr. Bradford, some comments that he had submitted on the 30th of June. So he was interested in having them added to the record, so they would be added to this meeting's record. And obviously, again, I forwarded it on to you guys. The other item, which I forwarded out to everybody, we had the two folks that we sent the letters to regarding the damage. One of them we did not hear from. The other one, Mr. Culper, had responded, and I forwarded that out to you. He had offered to pay 10% of the cost that was being associated to him, or to hit the situation, which would be $170. So bringing that back to you, as far as I mentioned to him that I would. So just wanted to give that to you.
Did all of you board members see all of his letters to the board?
I don't know,
Yeah, I
I
think
saw
I
all of
forwarded
them,
them all out.
yeah, I
Yeah,
saw some,
they
I
were
don't know if that was
the
all.
My piece on this is this, simply, we have,
Whose letter?
I said,
Mr. Culper, I'm sorry. Mr. Culper was one of the residences that had the incident with the ATV. I'm sorry, for context. Yep.
so, my issue, it goes back to what I just ended up saying a few minutes back. I said, I will never ask a member of this community to spend 1 cent to pay for damages caused by somebody else's irresponsibility. Period. Full stop. So we have two different situations here with that particular case. Okay, 2 of them are already resolved. One, the gentleman came and he spoke. He spoke through letters to everyone that was involved. Management and board members, and said, yes, it was his son. He was a passenger, didn't do any damage. My understanding is, based on meeting audio, that the board reinstated their suspension. Case closed. He apologized, of course, and said his son this wouldn't happen again. Then the other gentleman came to the meeting as well. He said, yes, it was his son who did the damage, one of the 2 that did the damage. And said he was, again, sorry, it wasn't going to happen again. He didn't think it was fair to be assessed the entire damage. He thought the conditions and so on and so on. Made arguments. He made his case to the board, offered to pay $500. My understanding is also the board approved it and lifted his suspension. Case closed. The gentleman we're speaking about now wrote a letter. Wasn't me, kind of letter. Management followed up with additional information. And that additional information somehow resulted in this change of heart. But I'm only willing to pay $170 or I'll get my lawyer involved, essentially. So my stance on this is I would accept he paying $500 and the district pay the rest to restore that area. That's what I would accept.
Is that a motion?
Well, I
It would
haven't
be
made a
a
motion yet.
It would be appropriate if we want to.
Sure, absolutely, okay. I motion that Andy go back, respond back to him, or Michelle, because I know Michelle, you've been involved, because of the legalities that he, suggests he may get involved with in his letter. So I motion that we return to him and say if he spends $500, if he pays $500 towards the damage that he caused, the son caused, we will lift the suspension, and that's the end of it.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I think that's very simple.
Okay, seconded. Additional discussion?
So what is if he doesn't? Do we just let it go through legal? Like if he says, I'm not paying 500, I'll pay 170 tops, or I'm gonna pay 0, are we going to then take action against him?
I don't know what you all will do. I think my position on this is very clear. I will not accept any member of this community spending any money out of their own pocket to fund damages caused by someone else who refuses to take responsibility. So if it comes before the board again, we may have to talk about what that actually means, but that's my stance on this.
Okay.
Last, one of the things that person sent was a picture of his go-kart and showed that it didn't match. So is there any additional information? I mean, he says that that was parked behind his vehicle and belongs to somebody else that was over visiting his kid, and it's not his. So how do you overcome
Okay, I'm
that?
happy to share about that. You could have seen the same stuff if you looked at the available information as well, William. But first of all, one of the two parents told me who his kid was with and who owned the vehicles, but didn't want to sign an affidavit and go on record for it. Second, the same vehicles were observed and photographed in that person's driveway on numerous times by numerous individuals. Third, he claimed that this go-kart, his go-kart didn't have a cover. The go-kart that did the damage had a cover and a skeleton on the back of the go-kart. He sent a picture saying, "This is my go-kart, see? No cover." A video was provided to Andy showing this gentleman's wife driving the go-kart with the skeleton and the cover around the neighborhood. She was filmed it for herself on social media. And also a very clear picture of the gentleman's son in one of our security cameras compared to that gentleman's son on Facebook. Some of these things were provided by Andy to the gentleman's father. The gentleman's father decided that he would offer to pay some money, and that's, yeah.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of accepting $500 or offering to accept $500 to Mr. Culper? All in favor?
And to remove the suspension.
Oh, and to
Stop
remove-
over.
Yeah. Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so that motion passes 3-1. I'll get in touch with them and obviously keep the board in the loop. All right. Just 1 second, just taking down some notes here. Okay, the last thing I had, we have law enforcement here this evening. Thank you for coming. Obviously, we've had law enforcement for the past couple meetings. I did want to bring it up as a discussion point for the board as to whether you want to continue with that process. And that way, because officially we never did have a discussion about it, so it's probably appropriate that if you do want to continue, that we have some sort of motion or one way or the other.
Personally, I think I've seen a drastic improvement in decorum and behavior. I think it's clear that we won't tolerate future disruptions, especially those that put residents in fear or concern for their safety. Going forward, should we eliminate law enforcement presence, it'll still be clear that we will be calling law enforcement to have any disruptions quelled and individuals who can't comply with our rules of decorum removed. So I would motion that we discontinue regular, even though I miss you, Mr. Warren, that we motion to discontinue regular automatic police presence at these meetings.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, any additional discussion?
I do. I
Yes,
wish,
please.
I've been asked by multiple residents in favor of law enforment to be at the meetings, that it's a added level of safety and security they feel necessary based on the actions of other participants at the meeting. So I just wanted to go on record saying that there are people who appreciate it and look forward to having law enforcement here.
Okay, fair enough.
Just for the record, what was the cost that we're paying per night for them to be? I think it's
It's
$260.
a few $100s, yes.
I think, was that what you, I think 260
Yeah, I'd
a night
have
was
to,
what you had sent in the email before?
that's, my memory serves me, that's correct, yes, sir. Okay, any,
Well, I mean, Ron raises a valid point. If residents concerned, and I obviously know at least one who filed the police report regarding aggressive activity that occurred one evening here. So, and you've heard from people, you say multiple people.
correct.
I have heard from a couple of them as well. I think they have to be listened to. I'm withdrawing my motion.
That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a small price to pay for peace of mind and security.
Just
People want to
call
come to
it
these
and
meetings.
have everybody vote.
Yeah,
Get a vote before you can.
yeah, it's, since it's on the floor and it was seconded, why don't we take a vote? And then-
Absolutely.
Sure, yeah. So is there any further discussion first? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
No.
Okay, so that motion fails 1-4, and so we'll continue onward. And-
Yep.
Okay, got it. That was the last thing I had from my, let me double check. Yes, that was the last thing I had. So that would move us to the consent agenda. We have the one item there, the approval of the meeting minutes for June 4th, 2026. I'll ask first if there's a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I'll just note that I wasn't there, so I
I
won't be
wasn't
involved in
either.
this vote.
I wasn't as either, so.
I motion that.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that motion carries. That'll take us to item number 8, which is supervisor requests and general audience comments. So we'll go with the out to the audience here, and same thing as before, 3 minutes and uninterrupted, of course. And then you can see me waving my hand. You've got like 30 seconds left. So I'll go front to back again. Just kind of raise your hand a little bit if you have a question, and I'll stop at you. Sir, go right ahead.
Burgess 8957 Women's Code. First thing I'll state is that by virtue of these folks that I see in here, it's apparent that your procurement process is not done in such a way that you're communicating a clear set of expectations to vendors to bid on, and that's why you have such wide-ranging spans of cost being promoted to. The second item I want to bring up is when I hear, Kevin, I'm not a civil engineer, nor would I pretend to be. But I have 45 years in technology, and I've served as a CIO. What is challenging to me is to hear you talk about the video systems. I see exorbitant costs of technology in terms of cameras. I worry, and a comment has been made to me in terms of the cameras in the pool area. Are the cameras being pointed at anyone that's sunbathing? Is there potential for voyeurism and those kinds of things? And as someone that's done that for the federal government for 25 years, It also pains me as a commission inspector with credentials that I hear you talking about gathering affidavits and those kind of things. And I just wonder what kind of peril you put yourself in legally when you do things not coming from a law enforcement background. So in your own procedures and rules, you have the ability to create subcommittees that could design requirements for the needs for this room and can go out to a half a dozen or a dozen vendors where you're getting an apples to apples comparison. I do not believe that's being done. So, in light of that, and in light of the recent resignation of Martin, I'm going to officially throw my hat in the ring to fulfill his position and to take a role on this board to help you guys get your technology and some of the procedures that you're lacking in place. Lastly, in terms of record retention and management, all you need to do is to buy one package of Office 365, give everyone on the board an email related to that, and put in your procedures that no communications go out of that envelope. These are the kinds of things that would help you so that you don't have to spend all that time records retention, because that automatically does that. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
Seaway Games, 11615 Armada. I just had a couple comments. Earlier when you guys were discussing about the camera equipment and everything, I recently sent a knowledge-based article that I created over to Andy. Kevin was talking about, hey, look, these guys have no idea how to use the equipment and complete ID. It might be advisable to have Andy send that document over to complete ID so that they can see how long it would take to actually complete the setup. And at that point, they can give us a better idea of what the things are actually going to do. The other thing is, as you can see, this is a very similar setup to what we originally purchased. It was set up in about 10 minutes. So that's the other one. The third one, I think the flag idea, the flagpole idea is really awesome. I just have some questions about, like the cost of replacing the flag. How often do we replace the flag? Also, in terms of like, do we check with some of these neighbors that are actually in close proximity of the flag for sound, noise? I mean, I have a small flag at home, and I sit in front of my office, and sometimes when the wind comes through really strong, I can hear that flag whipping, and people in like my meetings can hear it, and they can hear it. So like, has that been a consideration? And then the next thing for the requests is there a reason why we don't, like if everybody's requesting things, like obviously I've done requests too. I don't know what other people are requesting. Is there a way to just like have a repository that all the CDD members have access to, and we can just look at what everyone else requested, so we're not always duplicating and asking for different things that are actually the same thing at the end? And then for the irrigation comment, I agree with Brava. It's a drought right now. I'm saying obviously my house is dying. They're like limiting irrigation and everything, so I 100% agree with what Brava is saying on the grass part. And then the last thing was, I just heard Martin resigned. Is there like a reason, didn't give a reason why he was resigning? And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Sir?
Before I get started, are you guys going to city sessions?
Yeah, it is on the agenda. Yeah, I'll ask you.
I had a discussion to the last meeting, so I'll just give you a discussion.
Okay.
I want, you guys, looks like we're just gonna hit the 2-hour mark, so, I'm gonna congratulate you, but I'm gonna tell you that based on, I think it's no time, all this stuff. You're never gonna be able to add more to the schedule and finish in 2 hours if you take as much time on certain things. For example, we had a 17-minute discussion on our status of audio and video equipment. When the chair started out asking if everyone read it, and then he proceeded to read 2 or 3 pages of the email, and just asked to confirm that somebody read. And the other thing that's confusing to me is we had this big discussion on audio and video, but we had 2 meetings where this board, against residents' objections, terminated virtual attendance and terminated attendance by anybody. So I don't even know why you're talking about that unless you're going to turn it back on. That should probably be your first discussion, not the last discussion. As far as video equipment, you talked about an owl. An owl is a camera that rotates, so when someone's talking, it captures them on camera. It's used in court systems all the time. You've seen it showing with virtual court. And, that was one of the recommendations from the regulatory camera. We talked about legal expenses, a lot of stuff about legal expenses, around $13,000 for records request. My position on this is that this CDD should go out of its way, bend over backwards, to provide a records request for anyone asking, regardless of cost. Because in the long run, if you don't do it, you're going to get a lawsuit, and that lawsuit's going to cost you 10 times more than it's going to cost you. So this records request and this legal fees, I posted on Facebook, and now I know you read it, and I know Kevin reads it, so he has on my keyboard, the Warriors read it. I talk about the legal expenses, and there's not 13,000 expenses. You're feeding off this $13,000 of the over budget. You're not even looking at the budget to see where it's actually over budget. Andy, you talked about adding to the record. I don't know if that's an official record, or do we get to see what you're adding to the record? You said something, I don't know if you can clarify that for me. And then the gazebos. I was over here Sunday, I took a walk over here, and I looked at those gazebos. And I agree that the one on the end is unsafe. But the other three, they're just not secured properly. There's nothing unsafe about them. They can be moved, they don't have to be jumped. I would talk to your guy about that, whether or not they're usable. And I agree with William that you can easily move 3 of those over and utilize it and not have to jump. So I would look into that. The other thing, I've been in this meeting for months now. No, let me just talk about this. There's 2 paint bars on that wall. I was wondering if anyone's ever been to fix it. I don't know if you guys see it. And then by the shower outside, there's a new, I think they put new flooring out there. It's coming up, it's peeling up. It's got to be repaired. And there's a facial on the building up there that's got to be repaired.
That was the one I mentioned, and you asked me to fix that.
Did they?
Yeah, I'll have to double check, but that was on our list. So, thank you.
My time over.
It is, yes.
3 minutes is not enough. I'm just telling you.
I get it. I understand. So we'll move to the second row. Yes, go right ahead, sir.
Dave Ian, 8318 Eglin Loop. The photos I shared last month and the photos that I submitted again this week is that there's large bare patches. It's not dead grass. And it's been bare patches for like over a year. It's just not consistent in the last couple of months where there's been little rain. The photos also show is that it's the only area behind this one property along all those houses that back up to the Carter. This is the only property that has this issue. There's nice thick grass up and down the entire bank, all along that whole stretch of houses backing up to the Carter. So I think that adding irrigation doesn't make sense at all. So that should even be considered. This house was up for sale probably 6 or 7 months ago, and I'm not saying that the bare patches back there was the reason why it didn't sell, but I would say that it was a factor. I said last month that waiting to see, because the board said let's just wait and see what happens over the next month. And at the time I said waiting doesn't make sense to me because it's been like that for the last year or so. My recollection from the last meeting is that the board said that it wanted to wait a month and if there wasn't any improvements, that some action would be taken. So I'm not sure what happened to those comments. I personally think that the hay assad is the best approach. Before the heavy summer rains come, I see it work all the time along ditches everywhere. And if it just keeps on continuing with no action and it just stays bare like this, do I just keep on coming back every month with the expectation of being just told to wait and see? Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Sir, anything?
Won't take up too much of your time, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Steve Butler, I'm with American Relations, also with American Power Washing. We do holiday lighting.
And Martin is got the girl even wearing his something that you're out. That's the time you're going to do it there. I just don't think you're doing this here. It's free.
Well, claim your time.
I know, I'm sure we're in July now, but holidays are around the corner. You guys don't have to live in place and love the opportunity to run your business. Also, like I said, we also do exterior cleaning, power washing, so if you guys ever need services, we focus on pretty much top down from community centers to CDD sidewalks. We also do maintenance programs, which is anything kind of set it, forget it, keep up, and we so.
Give a card to me.
Anything else? Thanks, Will. Moving along, the next person. Yes, sir.
Quick, my name's Tommy Loki, 8917 Windlass. Just two quick things on audio, video, equipment, and recording and all that stuff. I mean, Kevin, you're twice noted here in your comments, calling this critical element. And as we know, the HOA side uses this stuff. I wonder if we're just not letting perfection be the enemy of progress here. I hear the argument for, the differences between how this needs to go, but at some point while we're considering this, for transparency's sake, and as we had crickets on this issue from the board, I understand things have been happening in the background, but amongst heavy resident protests, we haven't heard much, and I think we just did the best with what we have while we're considering these things in the future, and we can all come to some consensus that would be appreciated by everyone in this community. And on that note, lastly, I heard there's a specific legal requirement for the board to respond to the recent notice, and I'd say that, if I'm sitting in one of these spots, there's an inherent responsibility and a legal requirement that as you signed up to work for this community, in those definitions. So that's my piece.
Thank you, appreciate it. Sir?
My name's Devin, I live on Moonsail. I just have a question for the open spot. And I know it was kind of a vague answer. I'm just curious, do people just recommend it and you guys vote on the recommendation? Do we get to vote as a community? I just need more clarification of, this gentleman said he would like to put the app ring, how do we go forward as a community? Do we get a vote, or do these board members just say, hey, this is board?
I'll go over that. Anything else? Kind of working our way to the ballot, anything? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Joseph Rodriguez, 60 minutes. He asked me the same question. I was wondering how a board member gets on. I think the community should vote for a temporary board member, so you don't have a whole statute of the same decision. Also, you have to be fiscally responsible. But the flagpole is a great idea, and patriot, I'm all for it, but right now we can't afford it. I say, put that to the side. There's other things that need to get done before. Huh?
Already flagged out.
But it'll be nice when I speak Flagpole. For right now, we can't spend that money. It's from what so I get the financial records, supposedly, our budget is shot. So that's why I'm going to request the financial.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, community volunteers pay for
Anything, sir, anything?
it. Flagpole to put out community volunteers.
Can you state your name? Can you state your name for the record?
My name is Vito Sanzola.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Sure. There's already a flag out there. We're in a shortfall. Flagpole is not necessary when there's already one out there. The residents want to pay on a volunteer basis, that's great.
Okay, anything else, sir? Okay, thank you. Did I miss anybody? Okay, so if it's okay with the board, just a couple questions that I can probably help out with. Mr. Casement, the one question you had about my comment about adding something to the record. So often with districts, we will get folks that maybe they can't attend the meeting or maybe they're passionate about an issue. So they will often ask, I would like this as part of the record. You know, and sometimes they'll be very specific about the meeting. I'd like this to be part of the meeting record. So when that happened, I got that document, I distributed it to the board, and it becomes part of the meeting record. Primary reason is because so any resident can request exhibits from the meeting or records from the meeting, and then yes, I would provide them with that as well. It would be officially part of it.
You provide community with that record you're in?
Anybody that would ask for it, yes,
So
absolutely.
it's not provided to us automatically, yes.
I have to look offhand. I honestly don't. I have so many districts I manage. I don't know offhand if we submit the whole post meeting package to your website. If we do, then it would be part of that. Otherwise, if for some reason we don't do that historically, then yes, it would be somebody requesting it. So.
Because you just mentioned the name, you didn't even give the full name, you just said someone sent a letter, that's what you brought.
I think I said the full name at the time. I think I said the full name at the time. Just for clarification, in case anybody missed it, it was Rod Bradford had submitted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said Rod Bradford just because I wanted to be, and the date that he sent it and that sort of thing. So, but for clarification, if anybody. Yep. Okay, the other thing about the open seat, so, you know, the way these boards work is basically whenever there's an open seat, it is a decision of the board, you know, on how they appoint, number one, on who they appoint to it, and number two, on how they appoint. They have some flexibility as far as the process. At least historically here, the one time we've done it, and very similar to every other district I've dealt with, typically what winds up happening is we, usually us, management, by board direction, we would go out to the community and say, hey, there's an open seat on the board. Here's some of the details of it. And if you're interested, submit either a resume or a statement of interest. And then I receive those, I forward it out to the board. And then at a subsequent meeting, the board has that option to, you know, appoint to the seat or ask questions or do interviews, that sort of thing. That's how it's worked here in the past. And I would anticipate, you know, and you know, I'll turn towards the board to, at some point, if they would like, I mean, we can certainly do that. I can send out an e-blast to the community for interest if that's desirable.
Might as well do what we've done before. Give everybody an opportunity, if they're interested, to express their interest.
Okay, so I can do that. I think those were the main items.
The only other thing I would ask you to address is this idea that the budget is shot.
Oh, yeah, so the budget, okay, a couple things. What was reported at the last meeting, one of the things we went over, when we went over the budget, of course, we go over the actuals as they stand at the time. And one of the things that's been brought up a couple times, I think both in that meeting and post-meeting, is the concern that things were trending, that the budget was, I think, roughly $60,000 over budget. Yes, that's accurate that as a budget, it is trending $60,000 over, but it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, because one of the things I think, in my opinion, and I'm neutral on this, I'm just managing the company, I work for the community. Couple things. It's early in the fiscal year. And there certainly is a lot of ability of this board to look at expenditures, make adjustments, not spend a certain amount as we go through the rest of the year, and obviously adjust accordingly so it ends on track. The other thing that's important to note is with any of these CDD budgets, there's really two components to how the finances work. The one is your yearly operating budget, of course, right? We're taking a certain amount of revenues, we match it up to expenses. There are a certain amount of capital projects and projects that are taken on that fully expected. Those don't come necessarily at the end of it out of your operating budget, but you have reserves. You also have fund balance. So as an example, and I'm just using this as one example, we had a floor that was done. While it is booked against your operating budget, by the end of the year, for example, if let's just say we ran out of money, for something like that, you could pull the money in from the reserves because that's kind of the purpose of the reserves. We have designated areas that monies are set aside for that generally is for capital projects, things that are $5,000 and above. The other thing is we do have overages on different line items. And I understand because there are projects done that is one of the things that consistently gets looked at. Well, we must be over budget because we're doing all these projects. Again, it's just not the full picture. The full picture is there's a certain amount of projects that are done in every district per year. And that's one of the reasons why we have contingency funds. And of course, in some districts, they have very specific project line items. In this district, at least from what I've looked at, yes, you have projects, that's kind of expected, but what's really, in my opinion, kind of hurts the district a little bit when we talk about the overages is we just have some areas that were not budgeted appropriately. There were some things that were, I don't want to, and I'm not throwing the previous management company under the bus, but there were some contracted amounts that you have a contracted X, and what was budgeted was something less. So we have that in a couple items. We have that with the pool contract, that was, I think, like $8,000. We have that with, there is mitigation services that are performed on the wetlands, protected wetlands. It's required to be done. That mitigation services company also, prior to my existence, as I understand it, they were also providing services to keeping your ponds clean. You also have a pond maintenance company. So there was a little bit of overlap there. When that was found out that there was that overlap, I think probably by the previous engineer, immediately it was like, stop doing that. We already have a company doing that. The problem is, and this is just my speculation, I think that the previous management company, when they adjusted for that change, they adjusted too much because we're way over budget on mitigation. And the problem with that is that's required. You have to do certain reporting into SwiftMoney. So again, the things that we can't control, in my opinion, seem to be probably the largest overages. We do have legal expenses that are higher than expected, records requests, that sort of stuff. We've talked about that many times. So again, I guess my main point, again, as a neutral person sitting here at this table, is there's a lot of things that go into that trending. We're not at the end of the year. There's plenty of adjustments that both the board as well as us from management, we can always make suggestions. So it's kind of, we don't have the full picture yet, honestly. But I did want to mention that and go over some of that detail. I've given this information to the board separately, so it's fair that obviously I give it to you as well. And if anybody wants the specifics, I'm happy to send across the same information I sent to the board. I can email it off to you and it gives some of those details, more specific dollars, that sort of thing. So,
thank you.
Sure.
I just have a comment, okay?
I think.
No, I understand that, but you.
I'll defer towards the board if they're
interested. You just brought up something that wasn't on the budget. I mean, it wasn't on the agenda.
But we're not voting on it. So
I know, but you brought it up.
I'm going to defer towards the board if they want to take additional
time. The ability to respond to what's brought up.
Andy, you were responding to a gentleman's comment that
he was responding to you.
You responded, quiet, please. You responded to a gentleman's comment that was made during the comment period. That's why you addressed the budget. I asked you.
He responded to you directly.
Please stop.
So
Don't.
Please stop, no,
Okay,
please
we're
stop.
gonna
You need
keep
to
order.
maintain
You
order
don't
in the
talk to
room.
me.
Please
Jim.
stop.
I'm talking to you.
Okay, fair enough, but we do have a process here. We give residents an opportunity to speak, and then it's the board's time to speak. I understand your concern, but
Something was brought up, it's not on the agenda, after public comment.
we're not taking a
So I
vote on
can't
anything,
bring it
so
up.
it's not something up for vote, so we're gonna stop now. We don't need to go further with this, okay?
Transparency.
I appreciate that, and I'm happy to talk
Yeah,
offline as well.
transparency.
All right, any additional comments?
I'm gonna respond to some questions. James, you mentioned that the board is given a hard time for public record to go up. I tell you what, prove it, I'm gonna vote for you in November. Just like the other accusation you accused us, if you approve them,
Say that
prove
again.
it.
Say that
The
again.
accusation you accused us before,
What did you say?
huh?
Prove what?
Prove whatever you accused us. You said, well, the board was holding the information from being provided to them. You said that you.
So let's, it's fine, yeah, on both sides, let's not do it back and forth.
Everything I said is truthful.
Yeah.
I posted it, you know.
Perfect, prove it.
You keep saying that it's not.
Your second question about the maintenance.
Did you swear to
Those stuff,
Did you swear to that?
Jim, let Rob speak.
those stuff you mentioned about the maintenance, they are being done, don't worry about it, it's on the work.
Oh, I didn't hear you talk about it, huh?
What is it?
I asked you, I brought that up in public comments, did you respond to me?
Yeah, I'm responding to you.
What are you exactly?
You're talking about the floor by the shower there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm told you they're being repaired.
I didn't see any field management report on that, before I asked you.
We need to mention it's being repaired, it's under warranty.
Yeah.
It's going to be repaired, anyway.
Well, thanks for your time, appreciate it.
The other thing, the other gentleman over there, he said like things going under the back door, again, please prove it. It's all assumptions.
Are you talking to me?
No, you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you mentioned something about there's some stuff going on, like kind of no transparency, basically. We would love for you to prove it if you can too.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
When you made your comment, you said something about there's homeowners talking about things going behind the scenes and stuff. That's what you
No,
said.
what I was speaking to specifically was Kevin had been referencing the audio, video stuff and all the proposals to spend all this other money. After considering that he had himself twice over said this was a critical element as far as transparency with these meetings. Thus, 2 months ago or so, it's been crickets from the board in the residents' ears. There might be things going on behind the scenes, like transparency. That is something that has really aggravated a lot of residents here.
No.
And that is all I said.
That's what I said, like when you comment like that, meaning you support the idea of there's no transparency. Everything is public, everything is right there for you to see and ask for anything. So if you have anything that you see, I'm not being transparent, we would love for you to show us what I know I'm not being transparent about. That's all that is.
Record the meetings.
One more thing to mention, I heard from a couple of homeowners before. I know, you decided to not to buy it, my oldest too. That a lot of people want you to come back and monitor the amenities and everything. It's up to you. So yeah, I heard it a lot. They appreciate you doing that, and they will shut that meeting. I said I'm respect for the message. It's up to you.
I appreciate that. I would definitely give that consideration.
Any other,
That would be it.
responses? Okay. So, next we have the item 9, which is the shade session for security camera upgrades. First, I'll ask the board if we're gonna handle that this evening, or?
No, I would table it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Then that would take us to adjournment if anybody's interested.
So moved.
All right, do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Something we always.
It used to be 95%, now we're probably 92%.
I don't think that any CDD or HOA board that I've ever been on, I don't know if there's ever been a testing on it.
Which